Welcome to The Recharge with me, Troy Deeney. This is your no-nonsense deep dive into the world of sport. Each week I'll be bringing you honesty, passion and insight into the beautiful world of sport. This is The Recharge, let's go. Right, weekend catch-up. Well, first of all, great game of football, even though it was only 1-0. Arsenal showed you their defensive resolve, which they're going to lean on, their set pieces, which they're going to lean on. A few more questions for me in regards to that midfield. I've been talking about it. I think Zubimendi is a fantastic footballer. I think they've lost a lot of energy, a lot of legs in there with Partey leaving. Maybe that Norgard balance will have to come in certain games. But I thought for Arsenal, solid. Front line was, okay. Saka was relatively quiet. Didn't have anything on that left-hand side with Martinelli or Madueke. So that's an area they want to fix. And GYOKERES, we're going to get into him a little bit later as well. You know, I've had my say on him, and I think people got to see a glimpse of where my concerns came in with that. But overall, I think this game's about Man United. I really do. Yes, they lost 1-0, but they were entertaining. There was real signs of hard work and it all being together. They were much faster, much stronger in the tackle. The units were connected from back to midfield to front. I think they've got bright sparks in Cunha and Mbeumo, but I also think there's a few little problems there as well. Šeško came in towards the end, looked good, occupied the back two, but I just think with the two 10s that they've got in Brian and Cunha, both of them are shoot first. They're trying to score goals as well as assist, as opposed to an Odegaard type who is assist first. So I think that could create some problems moving forward. There's a few times, especially in the first half, I thought Brian could have put Cunha in for maybe him to shoot and vice versa. But look, first game, loads of positives. Luke Shaw looked excellent, looked fit, looked trim. I think if they can keep him fit, clearly they're managing his minutes to get him up to speed. That's great for not only for Man United, but for England. Again, World Cup year, we could do with Luke Shaw being fit and available. But the evidence is clear. If I was Ruben Amorim, after that game, I wouldn't have done no press. I'd have went straight to the directors of football, straight to the boardroom, knocked the door and said, any chance, get Donnarumma in here, any chance, seriously. Whatever we've got to pay, do an Alexis Sanchez move where you've got to go pay 50k more to get him in. It's embarrassing. That keeper has showed you who he is beforehand. Yes, he had one good game against Arsenal in the FA Cup, whoop-de-doo. But I always say this, a number 2 goalkeeper is a number 2 goalkeeper for a reason. The reason they're number 2 is because they can come in short terms, they can fix up, they can do the little gaps of 3 to 5 games max. But when you talk about a course of a season, how they handle being there week in, week out, concentration levels, I think they're a number 2 for a reason. People have said the same about Kelleher. Just look how he got on the weekend. I think you're going to see that the number 2 is a number 2 for a reason. And yeah, they have to fix that. They have to get a goalkeeper in. Front line looks good. Midfield looks okay. Back line looks solid. So yeah, relatively happy with Man U. The weird thing is, I think because of the amount of distance you've got for Man U, who obviously finished, 16th, 17th last year, they're trying to break into that top 10. It's a much bigger gap, where Arsenal are trying to go from second to first, so it's finite in terms of what they try and do. I think there's so much more shoots of recovery from Man United where they can be positive and go, okay, we didn't beat Arsenal. However, probably would have been a draw if it weren't for the dodgy goalkeeping mistake. And if everyone was fit, maybe we could have nicked a goal, but we're going to be up there. For Arsenal, I saw so much signs of panic. I really did. And again, I'm not trying to gaslight and get everybody that Troy hates Arsenal. I think the back 5, including the goalkeeper, is excellent. They're going to be solid. The midfield they're losing a bit with Rice now, because Rice is an 8, but when he had Partey behind him, he could cover the distance. Now Declan's looking back and running back that way to help out with Zubimendi. I think you can run off the back of Zubimendi as well. We saw that in the first half with Bruno Fernandes. I think Odegaard just looks to me like somebody who's trying way too hard. He's hearing the noise, he's hearing Tony Adams say he shouldn't be captain. That I don't like. Saka, building in. You know what Bakayo's going to do? He's going to score the goals. He's going to be fine. That left-hand side is an area of problems. I don't think Martinelli's happy with Madueke coming in. I don't think Madueke's happy being on the left or on the bench. And then get to the elephant in the room, GYOKERES. I told you. That's all I'm going to say. I told you. Don't expect this guy to come in and score 25, 30 goals, because he is now in a situation where He's the main man. He knows everyone's looking at him. He knows he has to score. And if they don't win the Premier League, it's got to be his fault. So there's so much pressure and expectation on him. His runs and his decision making was very strange against Man United. Maybe he was trying too hard as well, maybe. But I also think we're going to be in a situation where Havertz plays more games than GYOKERES. A, the manager likes him, loves him. B, they looked better in the second half when he came off. But also, I weirdly think he might score more goals than GYOKERES. Now, you're going to have to give GYOKERES the game against Leeds, and hopefully he scores a couple, gets off to a flyer, and then all this is by the by. But I just don't see. I think the runs he makes are weird and wonderful. I think he goes in strange positions. And then secondly, Arsenal aren't a cross first team. And that's what he thrives off, crosses. So there's a load of things there that they're going to have to fix moving forward. But they did win the game, and everyone's talking as if Man United won the game. For Spurs, Burnley, I worked this game for TalkSport. I thought Tottenham were excellent. You could see the Thomas Frank model taking shape. I thought Burnley were really poor. Never really showed signs of trying to be adventurous. Just tried to keep it a low score. It's going to be a long old season for Burnley. I can't see them winning many games. They will rival the Southamptons of last year and derbies. Really, really poor. For Spurs though, kudos, looks excellent. Again, full of confidence, tricks. Maybe it's Burnley, so we can't take too much from it, but first showing looks excellent. Richarlison, my old teammate at Watford. Really funny how a World Cup year will spark someone into gear. Hasn't been fit for a while, but now he's fit and playing. 2 wonderful goals, looked strong, looked to link the play and also ran in behind. Took a few whacks that probably last year he probably would have came off injured, but looks like he's ready and focused, and obviously Thomas Frank's giving him a little bit of love. Dominic Solanke will have to work a bit harder to get back into this team, but I actually really like what they're doing at Spurs. And maybe, just maybe, they could break into the top 4. And the reason I think that is, I think Paulinho is going to be excellent for him in that holding midfield position. At the moment, the free midfield, while they're young, they run around a lot. I think you'll see Paulinho in there against Man City at the weekend. And if they get Eze as a 10, now I think they're a really formidable team. They've got enough energy in those higher areas, more goals, but he's all dependent on if those 2 centre-halves can stay fit. So for me, Spurs were excellent. Burnley are going to be a tough season to watch. Man City versus Wolves, a late game. Man City 4-0 up. Wolves tried well. Again, I've tipped them to be relegated this year. I think it's out of them and West Ham, who will get relegated with Burnley and Leeds. I think when you look at it, Wolves had a little bit of a go, but huffed and puffed. Didn't really have the quality up top to score any goals, and definitely didn't have the quality to keep a clean sheet. So I think Wolves are in for a long, hard season, unfortunately. But for Man City, wow, so exciting. Haaland back scoring. I told everybody in the previous episode, no one's talking about Haaland. Haaland is so good. And again, I think we've had a season of Isak and Šeško and GYOKERES, even João Pedro and Leon Delap. I think Haaland's just said, hold on, have you forgot who the big boss is? So he's going to score well over 30 goals this season. An absolute monster of a man. Again, a lot of people now don't watch Italian football. I had the pleasure of watching it a lot last year for CBS. Serie A football is really good. Reinders was fantastic for AC Milan last year. And people are now going, oh, he's interesting. He's naturally a 10. Man City have had to move him back to an 8/6 because of Rodri being out. But he's naturally a 10. So when you see him driving with the ball, skipping past people, the little flicks, and the most important thing, the finish with the left foot. Remember, he scored 16 goals last season. He's not a slouch in front of goal. I think he is an absolute genius and a player that now maybe he started too well, but a player that everyone's going to start to get in their fantasy team. If, like me, you put him in and you knew what he was doing, well done to you. I think he's going to be excellent. But I also think a big part that's not being spoken about is the Pep Linders influence on this team. Obviously, he used to work with Jurgen Klopp. You're seeing now the excitement, the expansive football. I just think that Man City will probably try and shift 2 or 3 players. But I think even when you look at how Shirky coming off the bench, you got Foden wasn't even in the squad. It's an exciting team, and Haaland back to scoring, another clean sheet. Ain't Nori at left back, and obviously, a lot of problems being solved. Looks like Donnarumma's coming in. For me, Man City are right back to where they need to be. If you add Rodri in there, and obviously he's going to be back mid-September, that's a very, very dangerous team. Forest versus Brentford. Look, a lot of talk about Brentford. Change of manager, stripped of their best players. I think it's going to be a tough season for Keith, but I think they'll get it right in the market. They're normally, rebuild, and they're quite good. They're a little bit like Brighton. You just think they're going to be out of it, and they bring up 2 or 3 players. So I think Brentford will be okay once they get it sorted. So I'm not too worried about them, but it was a poor performance. And then again, look at Forest. I don't know what to say. Nuno is a great coach. They've got really good, solid players. They're adding now, Hutchins is obviously coming in. Amari Hutchinson's coming in from Ipswich. Really good players. Back up now to Morgan Gibbs-White. They've managed to keep Gibbs-White. And Chris Wood, again, someone I played against. Real good pro. Solid bloke as well. Back scoring. And I just think they're going to be in that top 10 range now. I think the likes of Man United coming back, Spurs coming back, I think you're going to see a little bit of a shift. But they can definitely be in that top 10 and have a real good go in Europe. From what I hear as well, 3 or 4 more players coming in for Forest. So they're going to have a real strong team with a lot of depth as well. So impressive start for Forest. And by the way, love that new kit. Liverpool 4-2 on Friday night, open of the Premier League. Emotional, obviously, with Diogo Jota not being there, and you saw the wonderful scenes and the exemplary moment of silence for him as well and his family. And again, we'll continue to say, condolences to his family, and I hope they're doing well in this difficult time. But I thought Liverpool handled it excellently as a fan base yet again. Unfortunately, like most things, you can't give them all the credit because of what we've seen with Semenyo. Without going into all of that nonsense, I thought for Semenyo, it was the perfect example to anybody who has to deal with any form of discrimination. Report it, which is what he did, but then also focus and use it as fuel. He used it as fuel in the right way, scored 2 goals, the second goal being a great goal, and just came back and just showcased what it means to hold yourself with dignity and class. So for me, Semenyo was a winner on the day. Even though Liverpool ended up winning 4-2, I thought Liverpool were solid. They showed great signs of being really expansive, which is probably more the Jurgen Klopp stuff. I think without Gravenberch, they lack that composed midfielder that can just keep the ball moving in the 6th role. I think Konate was poor on the day. But I also think as well, they turned the ball over so much when they was in control. Just keep it simple, but they didn't. Summed up perfectly by Bournemouth's second goal. Edge of the box, Mohamed Salah tries to find Wirtz on the edge of the box, ends up being cut open, and then in 2 passes, Semenyo's at the end of their goal, and he's putting it in the back of the net. So for me, it's more about Liverpool tidying up, getting Gravenberch back, and again, all the talk, Mark Gahey and Isak coming in before the window closes. In my opinion, they're the team to beat. For everybody else, it's exciting. Liverpool are the team to beat. On a bad day, they score 4. So imagine what they do on a good day. Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Right, let's call it as it was. This was boring as 0-0. Aston Villa looked leggy, looked sloppy, turning the ball over a lot. Haven't been too active in the market, trying to balance PSR. Obviously just sold Jacob Ramsey as well to Newcastle, evidently. I think he's a huge player for them. Just didn't look right, the fit. Morgan Rogers playing out of position. John McGinn playing out of position. Loads of questions for Unai Emery to deal with. Newcastle, again, it's a holding pattern, isn't it? They're doing okay. Didn't really look like scoring. They need to get Visser in. Probably need to get another in. And Eddie Howe summed it up perfectly. This whole Isak situation has literally caused a mess. So they need to get rid of him as quickly as possible. He's drawn a line in the sand of where he stands and what he sees going on. But I think Gordon summed it up nicely from a player's point of view, which was, it's brought us all together. If you don't want to be here, wish you all the best, get lost. And they obviously respect Isak for what he done, but you're not part of the group. Off you pop, get out of here, let's move on. So you'd like them to get hopefully another striker in before they play Liverpool. Weirdly, on Monday I'll be working that. That's going to be a tense atmosphere, and I can see it being a real big goal fest, but I expect Newcastle to be better once the market's closed. Brighton Fulham, again, another snorefest, 1-1. Yeah, and nothing match. But for me, the standout again, Belieber, they have to keep him. He's so good. He just looks a level above everybody else. Signs of encouragement for Fulham was young King coming in for a start in the 10 role, lively, energetic. But Marco, we definitely wanted to get players in. He needs to get bodies in. I expect Fulham to be active towards the back end of the market. I know we won't be happy with that, but he'll be waiting for other pieces to move around. And then Fulham should be better. Brighton have to be better. World Cup year. For me, you're going to watch this a lot now. Anyone who plays fantasy football, anyone who's got players who they knew were good and a little bit like, oh, they're normally injury prone. Just watch in the World Cup year how they'll all just play a little bit better. Those little knocks and niggles will just suddenly go away because everyone's focused and mentally they're willing to push themselves that little bit further. The biggest one for me, the biggest winners for this is Brazil. Struggling with the number 9, but you've got João Pedro, you've got Richarlison in the Premier League, you've got Evan Nilsson in the Premier League as well. All three of those will be trying to make a statement that they should be in Carlo Ancelotti's World Cup squad. So makes for good viewing, but you know, frustratingly as a fan and sometimes as a player, I've been there when you've got players who step up. You know, last year they were bang average. They were, you know, that the abilities they've got, they go down injured and they're always, you know, not playing unless they're 100%. But this year they'll play 70 to 75%. It's frustrating, it's annoying, but you just got to get on with it. And for us, we get the best version of it. For fantasy football, we'll be buzzing. There should be a lot more goals. The final weeks of the window for me are so interesting because you see players who are holding out. The likes of Jadon Sancho wants the perfect move, wants a move that's right for him. But what you'll start to see as we get to that last final week is a desperation then of, actually, I need to be playing football. I need to get out and make sure I'm fit and available. And you'll start to see people moving on. I think, you know, you look at the likes of Raheem Sterling. No one's even talking about Raheem. Does he move on? Does he end up going to a Fulham? Does Sancho go to a Fulham? These teams that they weren't probably looking at earlier on in the season and now becoming attractive moves. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of teams that still need to do work. We could just run through it very, very quickly. I think Man City will still want to get 1 or 2 in, definitely try to get Donnarumma in goal. Man United need to get people in. Liverpool haven't finished yet. Chelsea arguably want another centre-half. Newcastle got loads to do. Aston Villa haven't even started. Fulham, Brighton. You can still go through all of these teams. West Ham have got a mountain to climb. There's 9 teams I've just reeled off there that need to do more in the window. So these next couple of weeks will be really fascinating and expect a domino effect. When one goes, everybody will kick in to do what they need to do. The last couple of weeks as a player, you know, were really frustrating. I remember being at Watford a few times. Obviously, we changed a lot of people. But I remember, you know, on a few occasions, players that were starting were being linked with moves. And you're trying to be focused and get through the games, and obviously you want to start the season well, so you're never behind and chasing people. But people were being linked with moves. Money had come in, and the same player who was starting, who was probably one of our match winners, was now going, my hamstring's a little bit tight, and you know, as a captain, you've got to try and, you know, say, you know, be with the group. We need you, etc. But also as a person now, I don't want someone that's quitting on my team, so I'm desperately trying not to strangle them. So for a player, it's a really interesting time. You feel that the season's just started, you're excited, you're all of the dreams you can. I can score 20 goals this season, I can keep 15 clean sheets. No matter where you play, you've got all these high expectations. And in the back, you're looking around going, hold on, who's coming in? Who's leaving? What's this person's motive? What's that person's motive? Is someone coming in my position? What does that mean for me? So there's so many questions that are, you know, arise from it. There's actually a really, really weird time, and it normally helps if you're off to, you know, a winning start. But if you're a West Ham player right now, you should be very, very nervous that every single one of you can be replaced. I have a couple of players I would love to see back playing for them. Jadon Sancho, I think, needs to get out. He's 25 years old, and we're acting as if he's 30 and over the hill. Jadon's a wonderful young man, wonderful talent as well. I'd love to see him go to maybe a Fulham, maybe an Aston Villa, somewhere that he's going to be the main man. I'd love him to go to Villa. I think he offers a lot to them as well, and obviously some European football for him. I just want to see him back playing and enjoy his football. I did want to see Jack Grealish move. Obviously, he's got that move now. There's one signing I would love to see. I'd love to see Mitrovic back in the Prem. I think there's a few rumours that he wants out of Saudi, and there's a few teams that could definitely do with him as well. So they're the moves I expect. Now, obviously being retired, watching your mates, your old teammates play. So I was watching Palace the other day, and obviously watching Hughes here, watching Ismail Sarr play, and you're just like, sitting there with pride really that these boys are still obviously doing it, and obviously doing it to a very high level. Hughesy still looks as miserable as ever, and then you're watching, you know, the likes of Callum Wilson, who, you know, is coming to the end of his career. Obviously injuries have plagued him throughout, but he's gone to West Ham, and he just doesn't look happy, to be totally honest with you. I know it's first game of the season, doesn't look happy. Been at Newcastle with Eddie Howe, obviously who he had at Bournemouth. Wonderful system, wonderful coach, really good players. And I just looked at him and I just thought he was thinking, what have I done here? He's at West Ham, he's playing, but the standard's just not the same. So really interested just watching someone like Callum. You want him to do well. England want him to do well, obviously for the World Cup as well. But you've just seen so much there that I just didn't like. And, you know, I wish him all the best. I do wish West Ham all the best, but I think it's going to be a real difficult season. So let's switch tact. We are joined by a legend, that is Charlie Parsons. When I first met this young man, he was very immature, didn't have a comb over. Now he's hosting, he's presenting, he's drinking flat whites. Nice to see you, mate.
Roy, thanks for having me, mate. I got the phone call the other day. I was with the boys, and Troy Deeney phone call rings. That's a phone call I'll never turn down. You asked me to pop on. Here we are. I'm happy. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. You are my boxing expert. That's what you are going to be, mate. So whenever there's some boxing news, if I can't get hold of any of the fighters, I'll call you directly.
I was going to say, God, am I the last resort?
I just wanted to pick up, mate. Obviously, a massive weekend of boxing out in Saudi. Moses ITAUMA, again, stopped Dillian White in the first round. How good is he? And did we learn anything from the weekend?
No, we didn't learn anything from the weekend. I'm fascinated by Moses as a character, as a boxer. Everything really intrigues me. I'm a little bit kind of torn in that he looks really good, and he's clearly really good. You look at when they signed him from the World Amateur Youth Championships, first round KO in the quarters, semi-finals, finals, turns over. He's only gone, 4 rounds twice, and that was in his kind of progression stages. It's really hard to tell when you've got a Dillian White who looked like he was in good shape. Now there's rumours that he was going into the ring with a dodgy knee or a broken foot or something. Like I say, he's obviously mustard, but he's not been clipped on the chin. We've not seen him go past 4 rounds. So, okay, he's looked absolutely incredible. He's fast. He's got really good footwork. But we're yet to see him kind of like have to really bite down on that gum shield and fight for something.
So how do you get that then? That's the obvious question, right? And that's what Frank and George are going to have to try and deal with over the coming weeks, months and years. So who's the next fight that you see that is available that you go, right, that should give him the rounds that we need to see?
I've seen a couple of people this morning talk about the Andy Ruiz fight, which completely went over my head, because other than when he fought Jarrell Miller, you don't actually really think of Andy Ruiz too much at the minute. That would be a really good fight. I think Filip Hrovic is someone who's always just so gritty, and I'm sure we'll talk about his fight with David Adelaide. Just a gritty, tough fighter. When you think about rounds, Filip Hrovic is the type of name that you can see giving it to him. And Martin Bakole, if he gets off the sofa and trains
properly. He looks as big as me, that fella.
Yeah, well, he might even be bigger, Troy, and that is worrying. So one of those names, I can see why they're saying the Usyk thing, but I just think, like, this kid's 20, he's 2 years younger than me, for Christ's sake, and he's bowling out all these fighters. Let's just give him what he needs. And, like, what's the problem with him? If he is that good and he gets through all those tests, give him Usyk in a year, give him Usyk in 2 years, because as far as we can see, it looks like Usyk will stick around. But let's give him even Parker, to me, at the minute, is a stretch too far. Let's get a Hrovic, let's get an Andy Ruiz, let's get one of those names?
Yeah, I think also as well, it's amazing the names that you're throwing out there. Hrovic, Andrew Ruiz, these are top level fighters. And you're saying, let's do that level first. I'm with you. I don't like the Joseph Parker fight because I really like Joseph Parker. I think he's just unbelievable as a bloke as well. But is there an element then of Usyk where you kind of, if you were managing him now, put yourself in Frank's shoes, Would you say, do you know what? Let's avoid Usyk for 2 years, and then we can reign for probably the next 10.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Sam Jones the other day, and Sam was a little bit like, "Well, if you're offered the fight, you probably take it," and I get that because the money that there is in the game at the minute is so unprecedented that if you're a 20-year-old Moses ITAUMA and someone dangles that check in front of your face and you really do back yourself and he's clearly very, very good, then yeah, you do take the fight. I just think as Brits, we're so guilty of rushing fighters and putting them in fights that they aren't really necessarily ready for. Like, so often we do the kind of, like, we'll step them up and then we'll skip a step and go right to the elite. Let's now with Moses, he's 20 years old. And like you say, these names are incredible. You know, we're not talking about any bums. We're talking about Filip Hrovic. We're talking about Ruiz. You know, real tough season contenders. But it's not like we're running out of time with Moses. We've probably got another 10 years of him, if not more. I just think give him that natural progression. Let's not rush anything. I know the initial goal was to be the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. He's missed that now. So let's just move him, which will still be pretty far.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's crazy. I want to just move on to a fight and then probably double back as well. So Hrovic has been spoken about a lot. His fight with David Adelaide, to me, was very one-sided, like the scorecard suggested. But for weirdly, David Adelaide come out of it with so much more credit than he did with the earlier fight with TKV.
I also think at times David Adelaide could have probably forced it the pace a little bit more, and I think he'll probably watch it back and be a little bit irritated with himself at times. I think Philip kind of just done enough the whole way through. I thought, by the way, what they did on that cut after the second for him to be able to go the distance was just absolutely incredible. But no, I think Philip was always he'd gone into that fight as a big favourite. It was a big step up for David Adelaide. I think David Adelaide's really fun. I think he's one of those fighters that you just know, like, kind of whatever fights you'll put him in, he'll always go in there and he'll give it. He's good at selling a fight. He's good at building it up. Incredible moments throughout that fight. I don't know how Filip Hrovic didn't go away. But that's kind of why I think us boxing fans love Filip Hrovic, because he turns up with this most nonchalant attitude ever, right? Eats them on the chin for fun, usually puts in a bloody good performance at that, is a very good fighter as well. But yeah, I do think David Adelaide will watch that back and be a little bit irritated that he didn't kind of capitalise on certain moments a little bit sooner. Because that's the thing with heavyweight boxing. You can be behind and you can be winning, you can be losing most of the rounds. But when you empty the tank like he did, you've got to think, well, maybe if I did that 30 seconds a minute prior, would it have been a different outcome?
Yeah, Adam Booth said something similar, didn't he? That it's not enough to showcase it in smaller moments, so he needs to keep stepping on. But I feel like boxing's going to a wonderful space now. With the UFC, it used to be if you lost, who cares? You go on to the next one. Boxing was always protect the O, try to catch Mayweather with the 50-0. With Turkey coming in and doing everything that he's done, it seems like now people losing, it doesn't actually matter.
I think people just want to see good fights. And I think if you go into a fight now, there's less stigma on... Like, Ishmael Davis is someone who's getting loads of fights on a domestic UK level at the minute. And it doesn't really matter if he wins, loses or draws, because he'll always come in and he'll give it a good go. Now, there will get to a point where, like, if you keep losing and you end up, pushing yourself down to, like, an area or an English level, you just won't get the fight. But if you're a David Adelaide and you've gone into that fight as a big underdog anyway... You've gone in and you've put a really good performance in. You're still young. You're probably licking your chops looking at the Fraser Clark TKV fight. It's refreshing in that we're rewarding fighters for going in and, showing a little bit. Because you can become a people's champion now and lose. And that's what boxing should be more about. That's why the UFC's had so much success, because you have people that go and win, titles and championships with 7 losses. And it's because that stigma around the O's gone.
No, I agree with you. Another fighter, and this is one who I'm fascinated because I love watching him, but I just don't think he's ever going to cross over and everyone's going to know, is Nick Ball. He's probably one of my favourite fighters to watch at this moment in time because his game, but he's never really going to get the adulation and media darling that he deserves, is he?
I think it's difficult. I think, well, firstly, I mean, he's our only male British world champion, which I find a little bit sad, if anything. And big up Nick Ball for that. But when you look at, there was a position where a couple of years ago we had Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Sonny Edwards, Charlie Edwards, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. To now only have one male British world champion, a little bit disappointed. Let's hope that we start to see that next crop really coming through. Nick Ball, I think, is really, really good. I think he'll probably be a little bit irritated with his performance at the weekend. I thought he was good. I thought some of the cards were a bit wide. I had it quite close. I had Nick winning by 1 or 2, but 118, 110 is just like typical boxing scoring in a nutshell. I think the problem is like, when I look at the UFC model and I compare it to the boxing model, is you've got these guys who are willing to take elbows and knees and all sorts and probably get paid about 10 times less. They're all crackers. They go in, they sell a fight. I think in boxing we miss that a little bit. And Nick Ball's got a great personality, but we've never really seen him be challenged on a level that makes people kind of want to tune in as a viewer and get themselves really pumped up. He's a fantastic fighter. The more he wins and the more he steps up in opposition and starts to unify and looks for those big clashes, his profile will naturally build. But I think sometimes, and this isn't just a Nick Ball thing, fighters in general just have to try and do that little bit more to kind of correlate to the everyday Joe. Because let's be real, boxing's a fairly niche sport.
Yeah. But I also think as well, it's wonderful to see, because in now you've got people who have done nothing, who are trying to be the next Conor McGregor, the next Anthony Joshua. They are trying to be superstars so quickly, aren't they? They're building their profiles based on these punches or these knockouts that they do, and they haven't really done nothing.
Sometimes that works, though. I mean, there's certain fighters who, like, I'll use Johnny Fisher as an example, very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But, like, at points will have maybe fast-tracked a little bit. Like, we always talk about the Dave Allen rematch between us, and it's like, probably wasn't the right idea. But you get put into that position because you've built yourself into this, incredible brand as well. You can sell thousands of tickets and people want to go and watch you. And you know what? Ultimately, people can find it disappointing, but boxing has to put bums on seats.
Absolutely.
Has to put bums on seats. So I think I just wish we saw it a little bit more with some of these guys.
Right, I'm going to give you 5 names, right? And you just got to give me a little line on them, and then we'll go from there. So first one, Dave Allen.
Cinderella man.
It's got an unbelievable fight coming up. Do you think, right, and I like Dave, as you know I do, I think he is starting to believe in himself. Not 100%, but like 10% more than he ever has.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you speak to the people in and around him in the gym, like especially Jamie Moore, who's a fantastic, fantastic coach, he's always said, like, Dave's always had it. I think Dave's problem is, like, I think Dave just likes, he's a people person, and he likes doing everything. So he's got all his lads that he trains as well. Then he manages people. He's also, he's got kids. He's kind of like, the boxing career was on the backbone. He was fighting on small hall shows. Sometimes he just took fights because it was a pound note and he wasn't in any shape. He always talks about his old man giving him a bollocking for taking certain fights. Like even Nick Webb, I know he won that fight. He says that was the worst shape he was ever in his career. So I think now, when you get an amount of money offered to you that really, really makes you put your foot down and give it, like it is, it's one last crack. I think they've marketed that fight fantastically. Obviously, I work with Matchroom now, and it is a really, really good fight. But Makhmudov is also just a really scary-looking fella that wrestles bears. That doesn't necessarily make him the best technical boxer of all time. I give Dave Allen a real chance in that fight. It's a really good fight. I think Dave opened as a slight favourite, which did shock me, but I don't think there's loads in it.
Yeah. Anthony Joshua.
British boxing legend. I'm a big fan of Fury and AJ, and I hate when people try and almost like compare two as if we're supporting a football team and there's different clubs, etc. What AJ's done for British boxing, the Olympic gold medal, selling out Wembley, selling out the Principality in Cardiff, fighting sort of going over to Saudi, being early doors to do it. Like when AJ was on pay-per-view on Sky back in the day, the numbers were obscene. He did millions and millions of pay-per-view buys. Stadium sold out instantly. He was a global superstar. He's also a very nice bloke. You'll be able to vouch for that
Yeah.
as well, Troy. Like he's a decent geezer. Yeah, okay, maybe we're finally seeing the end of this, almost like what in hindsight was a bit of a, I can't actually believe we had an era of AJ and Fury both at the same time, because British boxing was so good, and now we're on the back end of that, and it's a bit of a shame. But British boxing legend, man.
Do you want to see the Jake Paul fight?
Yeah, but only because if I'm AJ now, what, he's 36, 37. I know that going into the Dubois fight, there was a big kind of rebuild, three-time heavyweight champion of the world, first person to do it since Muhammad Ali, etc. I don't think that's the case now. If I'm AJ, and genuinely, like, there's an ex-Disney Channel geezer who is, like, actually wants to fight, the amount of money that they'll make is sickening. Everyone was talking about Jake Paul when he fought Mike Tyson, believe it or not, even though everyone knew it was a bit of a gimmick. Jake Paul sells. AJ don't really have to prove anything anymore. He's fought Usyk. If we sat here now and said, do you want to see the trilogy? I think we'd probably be like, nah, not really. So, looks like the Fury fight ain't going to happen, which is a travesty in itself. Go and knock out Jake Paul and make a fortune. Good on you.
Oh, fair play. Talking of Fury, as you just mentioned him there, Tyson Fury.
Also, British boxing legend. Character. What we were saying before about needing characters in the sport, Tyson Fury is that. You interview him, in one sentence he'll be saying he's never boxing again, and in the next sentence he's coming back to fight Usyk. But, like, he has people talking. He did incredible things. That trilogy with Wilder was incredible. The first one, no one gave him a chance, created some of the best moments in British boxing history. The second fight, he went in and absolutely bulldozed him. The third fight, no one gave a shit, excuse my French. And then it ended up being an absolute war with both of them going down. There were chances at times that people thought Wilder was going to win. When he went over to Germany to fight Klitschko, God, it was boring, but it was a masterclass, and that's what you needed to do to beat Klitschko. Like, no one gave him a chance. A British boxing legend, and you can't judge him off some of his comments here and there the same way you can't judge AJ for it, because people will do it in emotion, and just, like, they're legends, man.
I'm going to change this. Alexander Usyk.
Arguably the GOAT.
Explain.
I just love him. You know how young I am, Troy. When I was in, God, this will make you feel old. I called you Unc the other day on the phone. But when I was in like year 10 or 11, my Christmas present was to go and watch Usyk Bellew at Manchester Arena. And my mum's a proper like boxing nerd like I am as well. And I remember we used to watch him in the WBSS as a cruiserweight. And we watched him just watching just how good he was. Cruiserweight was a bit of a division that no one really cared about. Well, no one really gave it credit. Still a little bit the case today. Those fights, like the fight with Bradis, was incredible. Then moving up and doing what he's done at heavyweight. I remember he went as a 3-1, 4-1 outsider against AJ at Tottenham, boxed his socks off. Rematch, I think AJ was actually like really good. Obviously, still lost. Then goes and beats Fury twice. You've got that Chisora fight in there, Dubois twice. Mate, like, what more does the geezer have to do? Like, when people talk about all-time greats, you have to put Alexander Usyk up there. And I hate comparing eras, because if someone says to me, like Muhammad Ali or Alexander Usyk, I find that so hard to complain, because strength and conditioning is different, training is different, dieting is different. All the technology that is... and the infrastructure behind the sport has changed. But, like, do I think he would have beaten Lennox Lewis? Yes. Did he beat AJ Fury? Yes. Would he have beaten Roy Jones Jr.? Yes. Evander Holyfield? Yes. Like, I don't really see anyone, like, that would have given this guy any problems. Like, he's so good.
No, that's great. It did make me feel old as well. Thanks very much, mate. And then, finally, before I let you go, did you happen to see Conor Benn versus Troy Deeney in SAS?
I did.
What
I was going to say to you on the phone the other day, actually. I'm happy we've saved it for this. doesn't surprise me. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Cool. Well, you've already swore, so it doesn't
Well,
matter.
yeah, I
Go
know,
on,
yeah.
go
But
deep,
like,
mate.
just you're a hard motherfucker. So it didn't surprise me. Yeah, no, I thought it was sick, mate. To be fair, I was quite surprised when they picked the two. I was a little bit like, right, like respectfully, what do they think's going to happen here? Like, it is not a bet, isn't it? But I thought you gave some, and it was typical Troy Deeney after just wanting to go again and go at it. Like, you weren't happy with it. But I thought it was ledge, mate. I thought it was ledge, and I know what Connor's like as well. So I've seen Connor spar with. I nearly sparred with Connor myself once until someone was like, "No, he will make you piss blood."
Yeah.
So I know he wouldn't have been taking it light on you as well.
No, do you know what? Weirdly, I thought maybe you would, and then when you just look over, and obviously you got your gum shield, the head guard on, and I looked at his eyes, and I went, "Oh, he's going to try and take my head off here." So that's why I just came out, all guns blazing. I thought, let me
Did
try
your
and hit
bum
him
go
first.
at all, or were you just bare pumped up?
No, extremely pumped up. It's only I spoke to somebody, I can't say who, in boxing this week, who obviously just watched it, and they were like, "Do you know what? Fair play, because he's probably at world level. He's fighting," and started explaining it. And then once they explained it to me, I was like, "Oh shit! I probably could have got done here." I'd none of those thoughts came into my head. It was just like, yeah, it was just me versus this geezer. But it was obviously Connor's a good friend, as you know. So
I know you, Troy, so it didn't surprise me though.
Yeah, I surprised myself. But mate, thank you very much. Where you next out, mate? Where you going?
The boxing schedule is a little bit up and down at the minute. Well, we've got Misfits next week.
Nice.
For Darren Till against Luke Rockhold.
That'll be a decent.
Which is a decent fight. Joey Essex makes his Misfits boxing debut, so that'll be interesting. Tony Ferguson's on the card as well. Quite like how Misfits are getting some of the UFC stars as well. It doesn't make it as gimmicky all the time.
So you're going to be at that one, because I know you like to send Oscar and send the other minions now as you're the boss. So you sending the other lads around?
No, there's not enough on to send the other lads around, to be honest, Troy.
Mexico coming up at now?
Mexico for Matchroom, yeah. Where are we? We're in Sunderland. They've got a show on that night in Sunderland, so we got stuck with Sunderland, not Mexico.
And very, very quickly before I let you go, mates, your team Southampton, happy?
My mates always get on at me and they're like, "Come on, bro, just be a little bit happier." But like, yeah, I think like it's a little bit hard for me where I know some of the players now, so I kind of get more of an understanding as to how the football. I can't really see it as a fan as such when I know certain people want to do this for their careers, certain people want to do that. If we can keep hold of Tyler Diblin and Mateus Fernandez, I like how bullish the club are being in that, like, okay, we'll pay up. If not, we've got them on long contracts. Like, we don't need to let them go. We drew against Ipswich yesterday. We looked meh. I thought we were lucky to get a draw, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But a draw is good away at Portman Road early in the season. Like, I'll take it. I'd like to see some more incomings, and I'd like to see a striker score a goal because it seems impossible. Like, we can't just keep relying on like centre backs and full backs and wingers to score our goals. It's ridiculous. But I do think we'll go up though. I think right now we've got a strong squad on paper. We've not been fleeced like I thought we might have. Couple more incomings.
You think you're going to beat Blues?
I do. Should we go to that game together?
Let's go to the game together. But more importantly, let's have a little friendly bet on that. If Blues finish higher than Southampton, you got to give 100 quid to a charity and vice versa.
Done.
Right. Ledge, appreciate you, buddy. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me as always, mate. See you soon, brother.
See you. Bye-bye. Say hello to Mum for me.
Will do.
That's it for us on the Recharge this week. Thanks to Charlie Parsons for joining us for the boxing. That was my takes on the football. See you soon.